This is VOCM Open Line.
Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626.
The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
And good morning, everyone. Coming out of the whirlwind that is the VOCM morning show into the whirlwind that is VOCM Open Line. Joining us today on the other side of the glass and who will be taking your calls is Mr. Matt Barron. Hello, Matt. He is in for David, who is taking some time off. So don't be alarmed now. Matt will take good care of you over there on the phones. So let's get started, shall we? The Auditor General, Denise Hanrahan, has released her latest report on the province's 2025 financial statement audits. She's found a number of interesting items, as she usually does in her probe. Among her findings, the tobacco settlement, and we knew this. The province will receive $398.3 million, with 104.1 recorded in the 2024-25 public accounts. However, the last budget understated the deficit by including the entire settlement. And of course, that's something that Premier Tony Wakeham's government soon realized when they came in to government. So a little bit of, I guess, creative accounting, is that how some people put it? But be that as it may, the numbers didn't exactly reflect what the reality was. Another item that caught my ear and eye is fraud reporting. There were 490 incidents of fraud reported over the past year, 64% of which related to attempted check fraud by recipients. And we know that this kind of thing happens, but that seems like a rather high number to me. 26% related to fraud by clients who received income support payments under false pretenses. So people who weren't entitled to income support, but were receiving it anyway. And I think a lot of people know that that is happening in communities throughout Newfoundland and Labrador. And a lot of people are well aware of who is responsible and the like. But people keep to themselves and don't get involved in all that good stuff. And that's everyone's prerogative. But, and it's been a situation that, has been going on in Newfoundland and Labrador for some time. Is there a political will, I wonder, to, address that? Anyway, if you have any thoughts on that, you're welcome to give us a call. But, what are the final numbers? Does it really amount to much in terms of the bottom line? If you have any thoughts on that, you're welcome to give us a call. And health sector bonuses efforts since 2023 have cost $57 million for physicians and $20 million since 2022 for nurses. Monitoring their effectiveness should continue to be a priority. So, do these health sector bonuses actually result in desired effects, i.e. recruitment and retention? The use of agency nursing contracts, for instance, has decreased to 208 as of September of 2025. That's good news, with government previously targeting 60 contracts by April of 2026. Well, what are the current numbers? I would imagine when the budget comes out, we'll get a better understanding of what the current situation is. So much more included in that document, and we're hoping to hear from Auditor General Denise Hanrahan a little later on in the show. So, but if you have any thoughts, you're welcome to give us a call. Conservative MP for Terra Nova, the Peninsulas, Jonathan Rowe, called the show yesterday, of course, commenting on a private member's bill he brought before the House of Commons this week, which did not receive the support of the province's 4 Liberal MPs. Well, why, you ask? He asked to have DFO extend the recreational food fishery to 7 days a week when it opens in the summer, instead of being limited, of course, to what it is now, 3 days a week. That call immediately drew support from callers to the show yesterday, and of course is the topic of today's VOCM question of the day, the results of which are overwhelmingly in favor. Rowe condemned the province's 4 Liberal MPs for voting against the motion, but Minister Joanne Thompson sent us a statement earlier today saying that the approving the bill would have added unnecessary red tape to the process. She says it would have meant new fees to make up for the added cost of monitoring. And she says Newfoundlanders and Labradorians shouldn't have to pay to catch cod. Well, does that response resonate with you? Does it make sense? Are you in agreement or disagreement? Give us a call. Could an announcement be coming soon on Beta Nord? The Premier's not saying, but he does say stay tuned, which sounds pretty positive. We'll wait and see on that. VOCM News was among a group of reporters yesterday speaking with the Premier, and that question was put to him that, there's rumors afoot that a deal is coming soon on Beta Nord, and he wouldn't tip his hand. All he would say was stay tuned. When a Premier says or a Prime Minister says stay tuned, you know something's coming. What it will look like and what it means and how that will play out remains to be seen. But no doubt there is an awful lot of people very anxiously waiting to hear what that news is, because we've been in a bit of a holding pattern, haven't we, when it comes to resource development here in Newfoundland and Labrador. There's that, and there's also the whole MOU situation. Have you got your tickets for the Brier? Curling, of course, a huge sport in this province, and part of the reason for its success, arguably, although it goes back many, many decades, is Newfoundland's own Brad Gushue. And how fitting that his swan song comes on home ice here in St. John's. If you have anything to share on his career and what it's meant for the sport and for Newfoundland and Labrador, you can give us a call. What are you doing out there, Matt? Trying on different hats. It's a little fashion show going on behind the glass here. That's not your mic.
Carla just brought in a new hat for me to try on. So, yes, I literally was switching hats.
Where's my hat?
You'll have to ask Carla about that.
I'm switching hats all the time.
That's true. And you do it fantastically, by the way. I don't know if that's even a word, but you do it fantastically.
Okay, I'm just waiting for my... Thanks, Matt. You know what we're going to do now? We're going to take a call. We have Tracy, who is on the line. Hello, Tracy. Hello, Tracy.
Morning.
Oh, good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm okay, but I'm not okay. I'm a part of Recovery is Possible peer support group here in Port aux Basques. I'm also a volunteer with Guardians of Recovery, and I awakened yesterday to the news that a new Elf Box arm reduction vending machine has been unveiled in Stephenville, the first one in our province.
Okay, and what's that? What's a harm reduction vending machine?
It's a cool way of and a easy way of getting arm reduction supplies. That includes snorting kits. It's on there. CBC News as a segment on there about it on their site. There you can push the button, I guess, and get your meth pipes, your crack pipes, your injection kits, your lube, your snorting kits, along with menstrual items, drug screening kits, oral sex kits, a naloxone kit. And I think the thing that slaps us all in the face the most is that in the midst of all this, they got some snacks in this vending machine to go along with it to make it enticing.
Everything a person needs, apparently. So what are your thoughts on that? Are you okay with that? Is that a good idea? Is it a bad idea?
No.
What do you think?
Well, everyone I've spoken with in my realm, because I am not only in these groups as a volunteer, I am also a parent of someone who has suffered greatly with addiction. And I do not see anything coming out of this community right now of Stephenville for recovery. They don't have in-hay in Stephenville. There's no rehab center or anything like that. There's not a sober living home. So if you want to put this out there, and I should add that this is very close to a school as well, is located in the hallway of a building. It just looks enticing to people. We do not want our loved ones to keep using. We want recovery first. I'm not saying I am all against harm reduction. I know it's needed, to stop a lot of things. And yes, it can save lives. We do have programs, SWAT programs and things like that. But to display it in such a manner and not let anybody know in this province that was going to happen, to just pop up on the news and present it like, hey, look at this cool vending machine that we have. It just makes that, puts it out there that we're normalizing drug use. And what's going to be next? Are we going to wake up one morning to say, hey, here's your new vending machine for safe supply drugs? That's my fear. And I have grandkids. And, I mean, all our youth growing up, we do not need to teach them that using drugs is that normal. We should be bridging the gap for recovery with that.
And that is the bottom line for a lot of people. Harm reduction has a role to play, as you indicated, rightly so. However, there has to also be an emphasis on recovery. And are we doing enough?
And you know what? Recovery is not even mentioned in this segment. So is this really about our loved ones that are addicted, or is it about money? Because I am really starting to wonder. And there's a lot of parents out there like me. I can't speak for them all, but no one wants to keep their loved ones sick. They want to get their loved ones better, and they want their loved ones to get better. They don't want their loved ones to say, hey, and I mean, I have heard this firsthand from my own loved one. Why are you so worried about it? They give us clean needles, and I get it. I wouldn't want her to get AIDS and stuff like that, blood infections and things. But come on, don't present it out there in this way to our province, that we are normalizing drug use. We should be trying to do our best right now to focus more on recovery. Get some sober living homes and things. That's what we need.
Yeah, and as a parent, you want your best for your child. You don't necessarily want them to be burdened with an addiction for the remainder of their life. You want them to succeed and carve their own path and all those things.
Right. And I mean, I'm sure there's many out there with loved ones. Our families suffer as much, if not more, sometimes. We struggle. And I mean, we're doing what we can. We're setting up peer support groups, and Guardians of Recovery. I mean, look, got sober living homes around the go and more up and coming. But this is not helping us any. If you're going to start normalizing this, there isn't even many of these things in all of Canada. And we had to be the first, on the West Coast, we had to be the first one to say, look at this cool thing that we got. It's not cool, but it is worth going and looking at, Linda, because I think you'll be shocked to see how it's set up.
Who put it out there? What is it part of?
It's a nonprofit in Stephenville. It is called the Don Indigenous Friendship Center is what it's called. And, and what gets me in the actual article on CBC, like, they actually said this: our health box enables, now you get this word enable, right? People who need harm reduction and health supplies to get them discreetly. It's in an hallway to the entrance of this building. And I'm being told by people in Stephenville it is close to a school. So, like I say, now we're going to start normalizing drug use. And I'm not okay with that, because the next Newfoundland will be looking at the first community saying, here, we're the first community with safe supply drugs. And we need to, we got to get a handle on this. So anyway, that's my thing, Linda, this morning. And I hope more people call and get feedback. I'm not downing arm reduction. Believe me, I am definitely not. I wanted my loved one to be safe as the next one, But there comes a point when we have to step up and start seeing what is not working and what we can do that may work better. And it certainly is not going to be keeping our loved ones sick and helping them to stay that way.
Tracy, I'm glad you raised the issue this morning. You're obviously feeling very passionate about it, and we'll see what others think. Are they okay with this type of approach? Is it the right approach? Are we doing enough with other types of approaches? They can give us a call.
Okay. Thank you, Linda, for letting me get my voice out there. Sorry, I'm fighting mad, but I am very passionate, like you said.
Well, you've lived it. You've been there, done that. You've seen it all. So
and a lot.
There's no reason why you shouldn't be passionate about it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Tracy, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we hope to speak with you.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And we are back. We're going now to the Minister of Forestry, Mr. Pleeman Forsey. Good morning.
Good morning, Linda.
How are you?
Good, and yourself?
Very good. So I see that there's made some interesting changes recently, and one of them is the movement of emergency services from Justice and Public Safety into your department, the Department of Forestry. What was behind that?
Well, we're looking forward to the move, actually, Linda. It's all part of our platform, of course, of making our communities more safer for all of us, of course. Our government is working to ensure that we are prepared as much as possible to respond to natural disasters, and even, floods, storms, wildfires, and regards to the forestry, we have our own incident management teams, and the emergency services have their incident management teams, and together under one roof, Linda, we have we have a long-standing working relationship with each other. So under one roof, it sort of makes sense.
So, walk me through it here, if you don't mind. Obviously, part of what sparked this, pardon that horrific pun, but was the wildfires from last year, and the extraordinary efforts that were made to help mitigate that, fight it, make sure people were safe, those kinds of things, and deal with them once they lost their homes. So, what kind of resources are involved in all of that?
Well, of course, that goes back to the original statement I made there. Of course, Department of Forestry, and Agriculture. We've worked with fire and emergency services in the past. Providing resources to even non-wildfire emergencies. So, we've helped with floods in Badger. We've helped with bridges that were washed out and storms. So. We've worked together before, and bringing everything under one roof certainly helps, and will help with better response times. Better, of course, too.
And of course, not all disasters are natural; some are man-made. So, would that also fall under your purview?
Emergency services trained. Emergency service certainly they're trained in all types of hazards, and they bring with them, to that experience to our department, and our division has always supported all emergency situations when called to assist.
So what is the current situation now when it comes to remediation and response to the wildfires from last summer?
Oh, well, remediation, there's all kinds of factors. We're certainly been preparing for the forest fire season coming up, and the emergency services that we can provide. We know that certainly in the past we've been we've had some challenges, regards to our hot and dry conditions that we've seen over the past few years. But of course, this year now seems a little bit different with all the snow that we've had. But in regards to our division right now, we're putting in our department. We're putting in, hopefully I have that fifth water bomber back in place for the upcoming season. Hiring more firefighters and working with communities and volunteer fire departments, and by doing so with communities, we this week we launched the Newfoundland and Labrador Community Wildfire Prevention and Mitigation Program. So I certainly would like to encourage all communities, to take part in that program through the Fire Spark program, and anybody got any questions on that, of course they can contact us or contact the Fire Smart program.
One of the initiatives announced by your predecessors was this concept of an Atlantic Wildfire Center, I think, to be based in Gander, perhaps, and that there would be a great deal of resources there, because Newfoundland and Labrador, of course, doesn't just fight fires here. We're also called upon to fight fires in places like Nova Scotia. So where do those plans lie right now?
Well, that still take place. I mean, say Gander still remains a critical part of wildfires. Among our fire prevention center is still based in Gander. We do our training there in Gander, and everything is deployed out of Gander through the water bombers and that sort of thing. So Gander remains to be a big part of our forestry program and emergency services, of course.
And when it comes to resources that are situated in Labrador, what is the current situation and what are you hoping to do there?
Well, of course, we've always already established that the fifth water bomber certainly will be placed in Labrador. We're still trying to determine of which spot that will go. What community, what town, but that'll depend on the accommodations that's there for the water bomber and flying times and that sort of thing. So there's a few things that we have to iron out there, but we're working towards that. But yes, she is destined for Labrador along with the crew.
And do we have enough when it comes to recruitment of these kinds of specialists? Because it's highly specialized work when it comes to forest fire fighting. How are we doing with that? Do we have enough people on the ground? Do we have enough appropriate training? Do we have enough in the way of equipment?
Oh, well, that's things that we are looking for. Certainly, we've always had our forest fire crews. We are hiring more firefighters, and we're doing training for them. We're doing training for volunteer firefighters. And we've been in some equipment. We'll be looking at getting some extra equipment for those crews. So we're well in place for the start of this year's fire season.
Pleeman Forsey, I do appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's Forestry Minister Pleeman Forsey. We're going to go now to Reg in Harebay. Hi, Reg.
Good morning, Linda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Long time no talk. I tell you that.
It has been. Yes, it has.
I haven't talked to you for, oh my God, long time. But anyway, it's nice to hear your voice again, and doing a great job, as I must say. Now, let me, first of all, unfortunately, I missed Jonathan yesterday. I had to go out, and when I come back, he was already on. And I got to commend him for what he's doing, trying to get our so-called food fishery or recreational fishery, whatever they want to call it, back on par. But it seems like that's not going to happen. Linda, what is it? I don't understand the philosophy behind this. I mean, I don't like to use the word discrimination, but are we discriminated against? I mean, by the feds? I mean, what is this all about? I mean, my God, my old man fished all his life, God love him. I mean, there was lots of fish, there was, and what have you. And seems like now all of a sudden we're so different from our buddies across the water. I mean, what makes them any different from us? And why do they get the privilege to go out 7 days a week whenever they feel like it's sort of a thing? And we're told when to go. We're almost told to jump, and now we got to jump. And it just boggles my mind when I listen to this crap. And excuse the language, but that's all it is. You know, I mean, it just, like I said, it just blows me away. And our MPs, my God, the 4 MPs we got, is this becoming a political issue? Because I'll guarantee you, it seems like it to me. I mean, it's the same old every year. You know, we got to go through this. I mean, about our little bit of food fishery. I mean, I don't know. For God's sake, you guys up in Ottawa, you know, there's 4 of them up there. I don't know their name. I think Tom Osborne, one of them, and a couple, three more of them. Have a bit of backbone, for Christ's sake, excuse the language, and speak up for the province of Newfoundland. You know, it's totally ludicrous. It's, I don't know. There's no word to explain how foolish this is.
Well,
so
my understanding, Reg,
then I'm going to jump in again.
My understanding, Reg, and you asked the question right off the top there, what makes us so different? Well, we are. We're very, very different. And my understanding of it, anyway, is according to some statistics that were released last year, and I don't have them readily at my fingertips, so I got to go from my memory, and, you know, that's a whole other thing. But my understanding is that the participation levels of people in the recreational food fishery, as we call it, they call it the recreational groundfish fishery. We call it the food fishery here. The participation levels here in Newfoundland and Labrador are so vastly different from what they are in the Maritimes and Quebec. Yeah. It's no comparison, apparently. We have huge participation levels. They have not much in comparison. So that what Joanne Thompson is saying, according to a statement that she released last night, is that it's going to require greater enforcement because there's just so many people. I mean, it's no trouble to tell the day. If you didn't know it on the calendar, you know the day that the food fishery opens because you just have to look over across the water.
Yes, I can appreciate where you're coming from, Linda. I mean, but in all due respect, I mean, what is it all about? Is it because the amount of people that's participating in this few fish were allowed to catch, or is it they don't trust the Newfoundlanders, or they like we're not honest enough to give us 7 days? We're going to do too much damage. Listen, Lynn, I'm going to tell you something. I'm a sealer, not now because I'm too old for it now, but years ago, I can remember just as plain as yesterday. We were out at the seal racket. I call it the seal harvest. Me and my buddy, and we noticed gulls on the water quite a distance away. Curiosity killed the cat. We steamed over to see what was going on. There was 3 or 4 cod on the surface of the water. Now, I'm assuming, by the looks of it, the gut was torn out, so the seals do rip the livers out. And anyway, the fish were still alive. They were nice fish. I took the fish and put them aboard the boat, and I brought them ashore. I called DFO when I got in. This is a true story. And I told them what happened. And I was instructed by somebody from DFO, I think I know her name, but I'm not going to release it now. It's a long time ago. I was told, Mr. Coos, if you had been approached by our fishery officers and they checked you guys for your seal license and all this good stuff, and they seen a couple of 3 fish that you had aboard the boat, you could have lost your boat, you could have lost your guns, and you could have lost your seal license. Now, for the love of God, I mean, how stupid, how foolish and ludicrous is this? I mean, now the gulls could eat them, but because they were still in good shape, I couldn't bring them in and cook them up for the family. I mean, Linda, what does that tell you?
Reg, we'll see what others have to say about it. We're overdue for a break, but you're raising an excellent point. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you, and have a good day. And for God's sakes, MPs up there, come on, boys, smarten up and get your act together and do something for this little province. Enough is enough. It's, talk is cheap. A little bit more action. Thank you, and have a good day, Linda. You're doing a great job.
Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Reg Coos there in Hare Bay. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to hear from the Leader of the Opposition, Mr. John Hogan, coming up right after this.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Bigland FM radio network.
And we're back. We're going to go now to John Hogan, the Leader of the Official Opposition in Newfoundland and Labrador. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks very much.
I know that you want to talk a little bit about the House reopening now on Monday, but I have to put this question to you because it was a prominent feature of the Auditor General's report yesterday, and that had to do with the way in which the tobacco settlement was recorded in the 2025-26 budget. It accounted for all of the amount, even though we had only received part of the amount. So what was the purpose behind that?
Yeah, so certainly thank the Auditor General for her work. Other provinces, obviously, this has gone right across the country about all provinces receiving portions of this tobacco settlement. And, it was a bit of a new thing. So provinces right across the country were grappling with how to allocate the funding in this year and in future years. And provinces did it differently. I know the Minister of Finance at the time worked with people in the department who gave advice about how to do it. And the Auditor General had a different view. So at the end of the day, her view is what sort of prevails, and that's the way it'll be allocated in the financial statements of the province. I think it's important for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians to realize that really this is a lump sum of money that is coming to the province, whether it comes this year or in future years. So we thank her for her work, thank her for the recommendation, and certainly thank all the team in the Department of Justice that worked very hard on this to get this revenue for the province.
Did it put us at a disadvantage, or what was the purpose behind accounting for all of it at that one particular time?
No, this, it certainly wasn't a political decision. It was just a decision based on, officials in the Department of Finance about where the money should go and when it should go, when it should be allocated. As I said, it is a set dollar figure that is coming to the province just over a certain amount of time. I know when I worked in business, worked in a law firm, so a similar thing with the tobacco settlement. We would receive certain funding and we would have to allocate it. We would allocate it in the year it was came to us. The year was allocated in terms of a court settlement, and sometimes the money rolls in over the course of time. So it's just a financial exercise, and certainly thank her for her recommendation. I think the important thing to recognize is that she made a conclusion that it was a clean audit. I think it's decades of clean audits from this province right now, and that everything is in order. That's the most important thing. I mean, her job is certainly to review it from a financial perspective, to examine the financial statements of the province, I think is her statutory mandate, and she did that. And at the end of the day, the conclusion it was clean and everything is in order.
So we're grappling with a $1 billion deficit and heading into the House of Assembly now. What do you see as some of the priorities of this new incoming government?
Very much looking forward to next week and getting into the House of Assembly. Obviously, it's been a long time since the House last sat. Before the provincial election, of course, was the last time we were there. The entire fall session of the House of Assembly was cancelled. So we look forward to hearing from the Premier and hearing from the new ministers about how their work has been going in the department so far, the progress that they've made in terms of the promises that they made during the course of the general election. The public might not know, but the Blue Book, the Blue Book campaign promises that they rolled out during the course of the campaign has now been officially adopted. And every department is the mandate for those departments. It is the government policy now to adopt and proceed with every single promise that the Progressive Conservatives made in that Blue Book. So we're anxious to ask questions to the ministers, a lot of ministers who haven't had the opportunity to publicly talk yet and speak about the progress that they've made as new ministers in these departments. And certainly want to ask questions that are important to Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. I know a big issue that's come up over the last couple of months. It's been a very cold winter. People's power bills are unexpectedly higher than anybody thought was going to be. We certainly made a campaign promise to help reduce those bills and take away the provincial portion of taxes on those, to reduce those bills by 10%. Very disappointed that the Progressive Conservatives didn't go in the House as scheduled in the fall to provide a promised tax break that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians expected and deserved. So certainly the cost of living continues to be an issue that we want to talk about and ask questions.
I made a point of looking at my power bill because it was so it was so high this past month. When I looked at it, I was like, what's going on here? And of course, we used less electricity this month than we did the same month last year, and yet the bill was so high. And I looked at the tax component; it's quite high.
Yeah, so I remember, Linda, when I was campaigning, and people would say, well, how much is that going to be? Because obviously everybody's power bill is different, consumption is different, their homes are different. I'd say, well, what was your bill, in a typical December? I said, well, take 10% of that off. I mean, 10% of hundreds of dollars, $400, $500, $600, $700. that's a big chunk of money for people. It's not going to solve everybody's problems with regards to affordability and cost of living, but it's certainly one good significant step I think that I know we would have taken. I think that the current government should continue to look at. I mean, it's okay for them to do anything that other parties have talked about if it's going to help Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. And it's not nothing. Like you said, these bills are high. And the higher a bill, the more tax is on those bills. So it's going to save people real dollars on a monthly basis towards that they can put towards other things that they need for their families.
A number of significant promises made in the Blue Book, including reducing taxes and also promising quite a few initiatives. You've been there. How does that get balanced?
Well, they've made those promises, and we have to see how they're going to balance it. Promises are expensive, and the more promises you make, the more expensive it gets. So how are they going to fulfill all the promises that they made, that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians expect them to deliver on? How are they going to do that at the same time when potentially revenue is not what it was going to be? We see huge deficits going across the country. Alberta and Nova Scotia right now are running bigger deficits than people anticipated in those provinces. I anticipate we'll see that here because I haven't seen any campaign promises where the PC government is going to bring in more revenue. Certainly the biggest thing that we talked about during the course of the campaign was a potential $1 billion a year for the next 17 years on Churchill Falls. That's certainly not going to happen. So where's the money coming from? Where's the balance coming from to make sure we don't continue to go into further and further debt and higher deficits over the course of the next few years? And I don't know if they have answers to that, but that's why it's important to be in the House of Assembly to see what those answers are and if they can fulfill the campaign promises that they made, that Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, by the way, voted for and expect them to deliver on. So their government, it's their promises. They're the ones driving the car right now, and they need to deliver on what they said they would do.
Can a deal with Quebec on the Upper Churchill be salvaged in any way, even if this particular MOU falls by the wayside?
I certainly hope so. I wouldn't give up hope on the MOU yet, and I've said since the election, we encourage and we'll be there with the government to support a deal on the MOU. The MOU is an amazing document, an amazing backbone to what could be a really generational changing deal for Newfoundland and Labrador, something we've been waiting for since 1969. There was still a lot of negotiating to do to make sure that we as a province and as a people got the right price for the electricity that was being sold outside of Newfoundland and Labrador through Quebec. I think when you look at the timelines now, the Premier doesn't seem to be concerned with timelines, which is troubling. We've gone until at least the end of April, early May, when the panel will come back with their recommendations. We already know what one panelist thinks. He said it's a betrayal for Newfoundland and Labrador to proceed with the MOU. So it is a bit of a waste of time, in my opinion. I'd rather that the Premier get down to negotiating a good deal on this MOU. We certainly look at the election coming up in Quebec, where the Separatist Party looks like they're going to be the next government, and they said this is a horrible deal. So it starts to become less of a reality, less of a opportunity for this to happen as we continue to go forward without any progress seen in negotiations. But I'll always hold out hope. I think this is a good deal for Newfoundland and Labrador. I don't want to see it slip through our collective fingers, but I think that's where it seems to be going.
Anything you'll be watching for in particular as this new government starts to get a little more settled in? I think we've been seeing a lot of transitional kind of changes being made. But is there anything that is standing out to you right now as an issue or problematic or something that you want to see more information on?
I'd like to see more positive announcements. It seems that they spent the first 5 months sort of making announcements about what they're not going to do. We're not going to build a hospital, things like that. I certainly think, and we recognize, and if you look at reports dating back to 2022, that St. Clair's is well beyond its best before date. It needs to be replaced. Certainly seen reports on social media over the last week about leaky windows and cold rooms. That's not delivering proper modern healthcare for everybody in this province. That's why, as a government, we made the decision to build a new hospital, which I think is sorely needed. So I think, it's incumbent on this new group of ministers and new Premier to tell Newfoundlanders and Labradorians what they're going to do, not what they're not going to do. I mean, that's what people voted for, and that's what people expect. And I hope we see more of that, or some of it. I don't think we've seen any of it, really, since they were elected back in October.
And, of course, the speech from the throne will give us, I guess, a few hints.
You would expect it to. So, again, we'll see on Monday. I know my caucus is excited to get in there, and we have new MHAs as well who haven't had the opportunity to sit in the House of Assembly. So put partisan politics aside, it's a very proud moment for all the new MHAs from all parties. Certainly the NDP, the PC, and the Liberals all have new members and new ministers who now have real important jobs. And I'm sure they feel the pressure, but it's good pressure to have. I mean, they have the collective fate of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians in their hands, and we wish them well. We want them to do good things, but our job is to make sure that we ask the right questions to see that the province is moving in the right direction under their watch.
And what's the transition been like for you from governing now to opposition role?
Yeah, it's been different. Of course, disappointed with the election results, obviously. But you don't put your name on a ballot with any expectations. You put your name on a ballot, and you put your best foot forward. You try to articulate why you feel your vision is the best for the province, and you let the public tell you where the government is going to go. And we weren't successful on that night, but we still have a very strong caucus, 15 members. I think 10 former cabinet ministers. I've called it the most experienced opposition in the history of Newfoundland and Labrador. And this is the role that, we put our names on the ballots, and this is the role that the public decided to give us. And we'll put full effort in to make sure we do the best we can for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, always putting Newfoundlanders and Labradorians first.
Opposition Leader John Hogan, appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty, bye-bye. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting when we see this new government, how they navigate the House of Assembly on the government side of the House for certain, and answering some of the many questions that people have been raising over the last few months. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we hope to speak with you.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network. And
Matt just took a call off the air indicating that the elevators at St. Clair's have been down, the public elevators anyway, have been down for quite some time. The caller indicated for about a week now, but it's been longer than that, I can tell you, because we've been receiving calls in the VOCM newsroom about it for some time. I can't tell you exact timelines, but it's a while. It's months. Patients and visitors to St. Clair's and those who are going to the various clinics there are having to take the service elevators. And we've been trying to get some answers as to what the situation is there and what can be expected in terms of getting repairs done at the St. Clair's elevators. I know I was frequenting the St. Clair's for a while there a couple of summers ago, and it was any given day there'd be an elevator or two out, and you'd have to either take the stairs or find another way up and down. You didn't know sometimes if they were going to go or not. It was a little bit scary. So anyway, what is the situation there, and when can we expect that to be fixed? The provincial government has already indicated that it plans to spend money on refurbishing St. Clair's, and hopefully the elevators will be part of that plan. But in the meantime, they're needed right now. We're going to go now to Harvey. You're on the air. Hi, Harvey.
Good day, Linda.
How are you?
Listen, about this food fishery, okay? Now, I know we've been always treated like not second-class citizens here in Newfoundland, but probably third or fourth class. But the thing about it is, once again, we are being discriminated against, okay? Do you know what the word discrimination means?
Do you?
You. I'm asking you. Do you know what it means?
It means basically that someone gets favor over someone else unfairly.
Exactly. So why would you think that it's fair to be treated like fourth-class citizens here in this province, while the rest of Atlantic Canada can fish 7 days a week, and here in this province we can only fish 3? Can you explain that to me?
I can't, because I'm not the one that made the decision. That's a question for the federal government.
And those 4 MPs that voted against this this bill, I mean, like, where are they to now? Like, what? Like, don't they have any shame? I mean, this is ridiculous. You know.
Why?
Back in 92, when they closed the fishery here in this province, okay, on the Grand Banks, they were going full tilt at it, okay? They never slacked at all. They just went full tilt at it. They didn't give no regards to the inshore fishery or whatever, or how it was going to affect the people that's living on this island or in Labrador, okay? They didn't. They didn't care. Why do you think there's so many fish plants being burned around all the Newfoundland Island there, left, right, and center, week after week? Fish plants being burned because the federal government don't want anybody working here. They don't want anybody to have anything here in this province. Okay?
I'm not following you on the fish plants burning part. What do you mean by that?
Well, the fish plants have been burned around Newfoundland Island ever since, ever since they closed fishery back in '92, basically, in my opinion. Okay, how could a fish plant burn right next to the ocean? And with there's nothing in there that burn actually, but still probably burns anyway. I guess it's a common thing here in this province now. It's just to be expected. You get up in the morning, turn on the radio, and there's another fish plant being burned down somewhere. Whatever. But getting back to the extra cost that the fisheries minister was talking about, what would it cost extra to look after us here in Newfoundland, like we're a bunch of criminals or something? What extra money would it cost the federal government when they can go up there, the DFO officers can go up to the Miramichi River and pour all kinds of poison into the rivers and not get charged for it? And then they're talking about the extra cost here in this province to look after us like a bunch of babies.
And is that what you find galling about this? I mean, it's obviously resonating very powerfully here in Newfoundland and Labrador. Why do you suppose that is?
Say it again. I never caught what you said, Linda. Sorry.
Why do you suppose that this particular issue is resonating so much here in Newfoundland and Labrador? Is it that feeling that we're being discriminated against, as you put it? Absolutely. We were always targeted for extinction. Plain and simple. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's the tail wagging the dog, and the tail wagging the dog is actually Quebec. So maybe Quebec got a lot to do with this. I don't know. Well, Harvey, you're raising an awful lot of questions.
And I've been fishing for 53 years, and I got a lot more questions, my dear. If anybody wants to hear them.
Well, this is your opportunity, but unfortunately, we're up to news time right now. Why don't you give us a call next week and share them with us?
Oh, man, I don't know. I don't want to be on this phone there, talking on public airways or whatever, but sometimes things just need to be said, and I don't understand, why more Newfoundlanders are not getting up in arms about this. I don't understand it.
Well, you put it out there, we'll see what...
They got no say anymore? They don't care anymore? What is wrong with the people?
You put it out there, we'll see what others have to say. Harvey, I appreciate your call and your passion this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wonder.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. We're up to news time now with Brian Medore. What do you think of what Harvey had to say, or anything else that's been raised on the show, or anything else that's on your mind? Give us a call.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And really, for the first time this week, we have a switchboard that is wide open. So here is your chance. If you've heard any conversations this week that you want to chime in on, or if there's an issue of concern that you're waiting to be raised and that you have some thoughts on, pick up the phone, give us a call. And you know the numbers to do so, 273-5211, 1-800. Oh, I forget it. 888-8626. There you go. We are going to, and I'm very sorry to hear that in the news just then, the passing of the Reverend Ian Wishart. Known to an awful lot of Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, of course. He participated in, oh my goodness, as many as I can ever remember. Remembrance Day and Memorial Day ceremonies, always offered blessings and comments and messages during those very powerful and important events. So very sorry to hear of the passing of the Reverend Ian Wishart. And our condolences go out to his family. Give me a little direction here now, Mr. Matt Barron. Which call should I go to now? Number 2? All right, we're going to go now to Donna. You're on the air. Hi, Donna.
Hey, Linda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, good. I was just listening to a couple of gentlemen who were talking about the food fishery, and I got a question.
Sure.
I've seen boats that would go out on the water and they would, cod jig and everything. They'd come in, they'd offload, then they'd turn around, they go right back out again. They'd jig, they'd offload, and they'd be doing this all day. And I thought, and this is just me, I just thought that there was a quota on, how many fish you can get per day.
Oh, there most certainly is. There are strict restrictions on that. Yep.
Okay, so in saying that, like these gentlemen were saying that, we're at the bottom of the barrel and da-da-da-da. And I'm thinking to myself, there should be an honor system. If you're having the ability to go out and join the food fishery and, pick up your 7 fish for the day, why are you picking up 45? People say, oh, I'm giving it to, family members in the community, or there's seniors in the community that are not able to go out and do it anymore, and I don't really believe that's the thing. It might be a few family members, it could be a senior, but like 45 fish, come on. That'll be like going out and getting a moose and then going out and poaching one because you want a freezer full,
I know that
they're saying
commercial harvesters, I know the FFAW in particular, because I've spoken to them about it, in past years, always had held a very dim view, I guess, of the recreational food fishery, because they've worked so hard to professionalize their industry and occupation, and yet people are going out and jigging cod, and some people are doing it rightfully so to get a nice meal of codfish for the evening, or to share it with their grandparents, or those kinds of things. And there are others, I don't know how many, there might be only 3 who are selling it.
Yep, and they make it bad for everyone else. And I know that a lot of fishermen, back when you were no longer able to fish within 200-mile limit or whatever, that they received compensation. They were retrained. They were able to sell their tags and all this stuff. So it's not like they didn't receive a reparation for it, and it may not be a lot, but they did receive some. And I know people that actually left the fishery and became heavy equipment operators, I'm just finding that the fishery is kind of like a squeaky wheel in Newfoundland. It's like the more they screech, the more oil they'll get. And there's other jobs, there's other employment, there's other things that are going on in Newfoundland that could be actually looked at as well, not just the fishery,
I suppose the difficulty with the fishery and why there's so many squeaking wheels, and many would argue rightfully so, is because it is managed in such a way that politics plays such an integral role in how it's managed. It's not just an industry that takes care of itself. There's different levels. There's provincial levels when it comes to processing. There's federal levels when it comes to quota and resource management and science. And there's other levels as well, including the FFAW. And then there's the market component, which is a whole other thing. So there's so many moving parts to this very lucrative and important industry. It kind of sets it apart from others.
It does. And I'm not disputing that there's too many hands in the pot, especially with the federal government, trying to take over a provincial issue and all this offshore commercial fisheries and stuff. And, I do understand how they feel, like the Newfoundland fishery and the fisherwomen. I know how they feel. It's frustrating. But in saying that, too, is like you got to look at the government, the federal government, and how lucrative it is, like you said, to be clearing the waters of codfish. And, and I just find it so frustrating that with everything else that's going on in Newfoundland, it's like I hear this every day. And, rightfully so. Maybe they need to make a big change. Maybe the fishery needs to, be a little more assertive, I suppose. and get right up in their face, you know. But I don't know. I don't have the answers for the fishery. My family was never in the fishery, so, you know.
Well, another aspect to it, of course, is that, you know, the reason why, arguably, most of us of European descent are here is because of the fishery. And we've been prosecuting it for centuries, the better part of a millennia, 500 years or more. And so when we joined Confederation with Canada, this far-off concept, this megalith that is Canada, and all of a sudden the decisions were starting to get made from Ottawa and about our livelihood, about our future, a lot of that stuck a lot of people. And of course, we've seen how it's been mismanaged in the past, especially when it came to foreign draggers and, all of these kinds of influences and push and pull factors. And so there's this distrust intrinsic in all of us, I think, about how Ottawa is managing that aspect of what we consider to be our industry. And I think that distrust is what's playing out now and what we're seeing and hearing now in particular.
It's generational.
Absolutely.
It's not just today. It's generational. My family's been here in the mid-1700s. And, yes, they probably came over for the fishery, you know. Another thing I wanted to say, too, is a lot of people are talking about this doctor coming in through the PC government. And I think it's ironic because during the worst time of the 20th century, we had a doctor who, fast-tracked was an orthopedic surgeon, decided to become the premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, when we needed doctors. But I don't disagree, if I don't have any say in any kind of political, like PC, Liberal, NDP, whatever. I don't. Politics is politics. But I think Liberals are spenders. Like, they will throw money at anything. And PC kind of reels everything back in and say, no, we can't spend all this money. And I've seen that. And you look at Justin Trudeau, I mean, he was throwing millions. We're not talking like a couple of thousand, millions at anything. Here's 21 million, It's only the taxpayers' money. We only pay into it. But here you go. No big deal. And the PCs are like trying to reel it back in, I just hope that we can get out of the red sometime in this century. That'd be great. We were before, but not so much anymore. We're back in debt again.
Donna, I appreciate your call this morning. You've raised a number of important topics there, and we'll see what others have to say on it.
Yeah, don't hate me, guys. Really, don't hate me. I understand. I'm with you, but I mean, there's other elements to Newfoundland that we got to look at as well, and just don't hate me.
Listen, everybody's opinion is valuable, and we thank you for sharing yours. Thank you.
Have a great day, Linda.
All right. Bye-bye. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we hope to speak with you. Couple lines open. Now's your chance.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
What is it about the shortest month of the year that makes it feel like the longest? Well, I'll tell you what's probably a big factor this year is all the snow. And my colleague VOCM's Brian Medor has been keeping a close eye on the numbers. And we were on track to be a record February when it comes to snowfall, weren't we?
February. That's kind of what we were eyeballing for, the past, week or so?
Absolutely. Have we made it?
Mm-hmm. And then some.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Thanks to Rodney Barney is really on top of all of the numbers and the records and whatnot. A few others as well, but we do rely on Rodney quite often. So he just tweeted out not too long ago this morning that the 6 centimeters we had yesterday pushes the total for this February to 178.2 centimeters. That breaks the previous record, 173.4 centimeters in December 2000. You and I remember that 2001 winter.
Oh,
that was a blast.
Do I ever?
So that was the previous snowiest month. I don't mean month of February. I mean month, period, calendar month, December 2000. So we are now, February 2026 is the snowiest calendar month on record, and it sure feels like it.
Yeah, doesn't it though? So snowiest February and snowiest month. And that's pretty significant given the fact that February only has 28 days.
That's right. My birthday's in February. Seems like it was 2 months ago. It seems like that long of a month.
Happy birthday, by the way.
All right. That's eons ago now.
Brian, thanks for that, I guess.
Yeah, right. Right you are. Well, and we can say now that, that number is probably going to hold pretty steady because we don't see any amount of snow in the forecast next few days anyway.
Well, thank goodness for that. And, well, is March coming in like a lion or like a lamb?
Looks to be like a lamb.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's according to the long range. I was looking at the long range the last couple of days, including this morning, and I don't see any indication that it's going to be coming in like a lion. Looks like a lamb. Of course, that means, well, of course, we always get somewhere around St. Paddy's Day,
yes.
the 17th, we get the pre-Sheila's brush or Sheila's brush, whichever you want to call it. We do get some kind of a snow event around the middle of the month, but we'll see what happens toward the end of the month.
There you go. Thank you.
Right you are.
All righty. So that we're record breaking here. What can you say? We're going to go now to Gerard. You're on the air.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm calling in because, like anyone else, the incident that happened in BC, the school shooting, it's really hit home. I know some for like myself, and I can only speak for myself. But because there's a relation to mental health, and yes, trans, but I can only speak in the mental health part for myself. Because I suffer with PTSD and OCD, and I know myself. I have no access to any mental health and addiction services in Newfoundland and Labrador. Apparently, I've been accused of some things. I have no criminal record or background, but since last year, I have not been able to use any over the phone or in building. I know the Marystown building itself is implicated in that visit because I'm located on the Burin Peninsula, and I can't get anything addressed. And when we hear on the news something that's happened like this, and it sounds like almost like an oxymoron for the town to have half-mast and yet ban someone from mental health. It's not making sense. The person, like myself, has to deal with themselves. It's not how it's meant to be. The front line has broken and stand down. It's unexplainable. So I can't comprehend it. I don't know. I think the people should know this, that our system is not even handling someone like myself right. So how many more is it doing so?
So have you sought out any help to deal with, the things that you're dealing with?
I've reached out to many places. I've tried client relations. I even tried at the corporate level. I've even tried different routes. I am going through the college, but the college is only going to deal with one part because the ban comes from the mental health and addictions team, no signature. So my understanding is the entire team. Now,
I don't mean dealing with the ban. I mean dealing with the mental health issues that you're facing. Have you received any treatment? Are you getting any counseling? Anything like that?
Well, that's what I'm elaborating.
Okay.
I have no access to any of these services, so I can't use them over the phone. Nothing.
So you're barred from all of these places, or it just simply doesn't exist?
I'm barred from that particular building, but I'm not letting them use doorways over the phone. Can't use it. The letter said to go to local emerge or use 811. Now, I've tried to reach out to 111, and I can't get reached to anyone. There's no one to talk to at the main office. So that's it. I have no services. The police are well aware of this, too, because they're basically doing the mental health and addictions job. So I'm left on my own to deal with that. I fight the good fight, if you will. I use what logic and what facts I have to speak out. But it's very difficult to have any representation. There's not really any news outlets that wish to talk to someone that goes through it. It's very hard to deal with this issue when the third party's not at the table. I mean, we see it today. when Russia and USA were trying to work out a peace deal without Ukraine at the table. Didn't work out great, hasn't been doing so, and here's a similar situation on a smaller scale.
So do you have access to a family physician?
No.
So there's the first problem, if you will, right? Because that would be your foot in, so to speak.
That is correct.
Yeah. Is it because there are no physicians available to you?
Well, there are no physicians available in the area. I'm not the only one in that boat
Yeah.
for GPs. No.
Yeah. And that's part of the difficulty, isn't it? Has there been any progress in recruiting physicians to your region?
I plead ignorance in that knowledge.
You don't know, yeah. And why would you know? You just know that you don't have one. Yeah.
Well, really, and everyone else. I hear some people get some nurse practitioners, but myself, I haven't heard nothing yet.
Yeah, Gerard,
But
it's
also,
difficult.
Like,
You say
clear.
You say it hits home. So this child up in Tumbler Ridge had difficulty, of course, gaining access to the supports that they needed, and I guess you're feeling that as well.
Well, surprisingly enough, this is the argument I made before this even happened, and here it is. Something's happened, but now it's a different province, still Canada, still hits home, and it's not. To explain these things to how they can play out this way tonight, someone making the complaint through and seeing it still happen, it doesn't feel great. And to still see it happen being done to me, which is probably being done to others. So it sounds like more like, I don't know, it's not caring for the public. I know that much. It's they're meant to be the front line, and they've decided not to stand there.
There's absolutely no doubt that our mental health system is inadequate in dealing with people who are facing crisis and who are facing some chronic problems. And we're seeing this play out over and over and over again. I'm glad you raised it, Gerard, and I hope you're able to get some of the help that you're looking for.
Well, yes, and I hope other people who do as well, because, like I say, I can only speak for myself, and even if I'm aware of anyone else, I don't have that right. But we do have the right to seek this attention, and it feels like they don't care if something were to happen like that, and it's hard to hear. It hits home. But thank you very much for this platform.
Yeah, Gerard, and thank you for your call. Take care.
You too. Take care. Stay safe to you and your audience.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And Gerard touched on it there, but why is it that mental health issues always seem to come to this nexus with the criminal justice system? Weren't we talking about this 20 years ago? Weren't we talking about this at length and trying to make changes so that police officers aren't the fail-safe when it comes to dealing with people who are in crisis? It seems like we're not making the progress that we're intending. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to hear from the Auditor General, Denise Hanrahan, coming up right after this.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And we're back. We're going now to the Auditor General of Newfoundland and Labrador, Denise Hanrahan. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am grand today. How about you?
Great. You're busy as usual.
Yeah, 2026 is going to see lots of reports, I see.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about the one that you released yesterday, but what's ahead?
So I think next month we'll be releasing our report on supply management. That was the one that was involving Newfoundland Labrador Housing Corporation. And we have some smaller reports coming related to fraud, risk management, and business and emergency planning. And, of course, we're working through larger reports that we're doing on behalf of the Public Accounts Committee related to long-term care and cluing up our health sector contract number 2, which is focused on telemedicine.
Wow, that's a lot of work. Do you have a big team there, or is it just a concentrated few who are, digging into all of these numbers and going through these files?
We were very fortunate that when government changed our legislation a few years ago, my office expanded significantly. So we have a very dedicated and highly skilled team that are working through those audits. About half of my office, a little bit more, works on financial statement audits, which is the report we just released. and the other hat is very heavy into these performance topics.
And such essential work. It really does. What is it? Sunlight is the best disinfectant. It really does shed light on how governments are working, or in some cases not working, and keeps people accountable, I guess.
We certainly are motivated by our public service mission. And I find it very encouraging when we have, the average age in my office is pretty young. I'm a training office for people getting their accounting designations and auditing experience. And we have an exceptionally high, I think it's in excess of 97% rate, where when we ask people, you value the work you do and you know what you have to do, and they all respond yes. So we're very driven by our mission for sure.
So you highlighted a number of focus areas in this latest report on the province's 2025 financial statement audits. Right off the top was the tobacco settlement. What is the concern there?
So we wanted to do an analysis. This was an unusual transaction, of course, for the province. It hit every jurisdiction across Canada as a result of the settlement that happened in March of 2025. And there had been a budget that was released that included the entire amount. And at the time, we knew that there was a good degree of uncertainty around the future collectability of this receivable. So this chapter really goes through in detail to explain to the reader how much the settlement was worth after legal costs, which is a total of $398 million, certainly an important amount given the size of our jurisdiction. And it was correctly recorded in public accounts of $104 million ultimately, and there was no impact on the opinion. However, if the treatment in future public accounts matches what was done in budget of 2025, then there is a risk of a qualified opinion because, in our opinion, recording the entire amount would understate the deficit.
Right, and that appears to be the case this past fiscal year, because the new government revealed that the deficit had increased from a previous estimate to $1 billion.
Yeah, because it's a pretty significant amount of money. And the entire settlement, gross, it's over $500 million, $531 million. And there's associated legal costs with it. So it's a pretty significant transaction on the province, and certainly one that every jurisdiction has had to deal with. And I'm very happy to say that by the time public accounts was done, the accounting treatment did state that it was recorded correctly. Unfortunately, at the same time we were locking in that treatment, the province was giving its fiscal update in August of 25 and continued to say that they would recognize that net revenue in the future budget. So that's the reason for our comment.
We know a real push was made in recent years on retention and recruitment, particularly in the healthcare field. And you touched on that in this particular report, saying that the healthcare bonuses cost $57 million for physicians and $20 million since 2022 for nurses. And a lot of people would argue, well, you've got to provide some kind of incentive. Are there any concerns in the way that that's either being doled out or monitored?
Our issue for this report was more around the effectiveness of the monitoring. We did include this chapter last year, and this year we have an update so that the reader knows how much has been spent to date, and there's a tremendous amount of detail in the report, regional information. Early indications are that disincentive programs and these efforts are having a degree of impact. We did see positive change for physicians and for nurses, so we're happy to report that. But we are finding that in some cases, the monitoring needs to be very closely tied to it. It's a significant amount of money, a really important piece of work in order to ensure that we have appropriate staffing in the health sector. So what we really want to draw attention to is the need for consistent following by government to make sure that this really does get where it needs to go. And certainly we also mention agency nurses here because that would be also part of a recruitment retention issue, because usually it was explained as being a reason why they used agency nurses was because of a lack of regular nurses. So certainly something there that we call out is that, it's expected that there'll only be 60 contracts by this April. and as of last fall, they were at 208.
Are we seeing any improvement there, though, from what you've seen?
Yes, we do include a graph where we show that the number has been coming down or been relatively stable, but it's still sitting, or was up until September of last year, still sitting at around 200 contracts. That's a far cry from the 60 that was targeted for a couple of months from now.
Part of the business of government, of course, requires legal help. And you earmarked here, government spent $9.4 million in external legal fees. Is there any way to avoid that? What was that for?
I would suspect we will always have some need for external expertise, and that's really what this is. With respect to legal issues that may be going on in the province. So I'm not surprised by that. We see that in lots of areas. There is, the province does have Attorney General's office that is staffed with various legal professionals, but I'm sure there's always times when you need expert advice. So that's not unusual. What we did notice for this, and the reason this chapter is here, is because we noticed that those external legal services went up almost 23% year over year. Within government to $5.9 million, and the bulk of that was spent by justice and public safety related to things like civil law and those types of things. And so we really would suggest that government develop policies around who can get what services so it's very clear, and to ensure that they're only using external services when they need to, and it's in the best interest of the public with respect to spending that money. Certainly within the entities, we found that they had spent $3.5 million. And again, they would benefit from some clarification with respect to what the Department of Justice and Public Safety can provide to them as service versus them hiring externally.
Might the Upper Churchill negotiations have played a part there?
That I do not know. We did not look into the details of what the spend was on. We more categorized it around civil law or inquiries, because in fairness, in most cases, these would be sensitive items. So I don't know. The only thing I was able to tell, and it was based on what the entities provided to us or self-declared, was that there was about 4% that was spent related to my office.
You also mentioned fraud reporting, and this is an issue that we've had with us since time immemorial. There were 490 incidents of fraud reported over the last year. Is that a high number compared to previous years, and how is government addressing that?
So it's actually, from a count perspective, less than last year, but last year we had all these one-time checks that were issued for cost of living. And so when you cut checks for things, you increase the risk that there would be check fraud. So this is where somebody tries to deposit the check twice or something like that. And in most of those cases, the bank will reimburse us for any time that happens. So the actual count is down. But what you'll notice this year is there's some sizable frauds that happened across the service. Certainly to have 127 incidences this year where income support was received under false pretenses is pretty significant. As well, it is challenging to get that money back once it's been released. Obviously, if the person that attempted to defraud the province is still an income support client, then their ability to repay obviously is limited. So it's a very slow moving process of getting the money back. And if they're no longer a client, then it becomes receivable, and it can be very challenging to collect that as well. So the real solution for income support fraud, for example, is to prevent it from happening, as I'm sure that is the goal for the bulk of any kind of fraud system, is to do prevention when you can, and then it's about detection and mitigation. Anything else stand out for you? Very concerning for me sometimes to see the amount of opportunities that we identify for entities to act on that don't get acted on year over year. It increases the risk. It makes me worry about loss or error or opportunities for fraud that may exist, and particularly concerning when we see it with smaller entities across the public service. So I'm very hopeful that entities in government will read my report and see if those things apply to them, even if they're not the entity named. A lot of people can be challenged, particularly at a time when you're stressed for resources,
to make sure the internal controls are right. At the end of the day, for us, it's public money and it needs to be held as closely as that. So certainly that would be one for me.
Right, because you made 75 recommendations, only 57 of which are outstanding from last year.
They were, yeah, so in total it's 132. And so when I see that for every, 2 out of 5 of my recommendations are still outstanding, that's a concern, because obviously it is good public money being spent to find these things to fix. I would expect that I've done my job, I've identified them, and I would hope that the various entities and departments would work on their end, and so we could come to a remedy on some of these. I mean, some of the things listed in the 132 opportunities for improvement are pretty significant. Some may be seen as a bit minor, but they're all related to those best practices, good governance, fiscal stewardship of public funds, and it is really important that people secure government assets. I mean, there's everything in here from bikes at Marble Mountain to tangible capital asset issues. So there's pretty wide ranging, and they're all important on their own right.
Might the change in government have slowed down, implementation of some of those recommendations?
In my opinion, it really shouldn't. In most cases here, what we're talking about are various financial or administration processes or practices that have been going on for a while that need to be looked at. I'm hopeful that, this is an opportunity, I think, for a new government to see this report and to be able to get additional information on areas of risk and react accordingly.
Auditor General Denise Hanrahan, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you for the opportunity.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And we're going to take a short break. Anything that she's raised that you want to chime in on, give us a call.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
We're going now to Earl. You're on the air. Hi, Earl.
Good morning, Linda. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay, that's fine, because I'm talking, I use hearing aids and I talk through Bluetooth, so I hope the connection is good.
No, it's all good.
Okay, good. Linda, I'm not a fisherman, only a trout fisherman, I guess. And I have been on the water the last 3 or 4 years for the cod fishery. Although I'd like to get out, I don't have access to it. But I do disagree with what they're doing. I mean, with the Newfoundlander again, we get 3 days out of a week, and the rest of Atlantic Canada, as per usual, they get the cream. While we collect the curds, so to speak. And, this is nothing new, Linda. We've been under a long-standing term of oppression here in Newfoundland. It goes way back. I mean, when the fishery was in trouble years ago, and there was stipulations brought in to improve it, and it was stopped. I'll give you one thing. Back in 1890, up to 1890 and 1893, the Nielsen floating platforms were installed in Dildo, and they seeded and bought out young codfish and lobsters out of those hatcheries. And from 1890 to 1893, in codfish, there was 423,239,000 codfish planted. And in lobsters, in that same period of time, there was 1,876,776,000 lobsters planted. And at the time, we led the rest we were far ahead of all other nations in fish processing. Now, Mr. Nielsen was from Norway, and I don't know, I think I remember reading, I don't know if it was a family illness or a personal illness, that he went back to Norway. And as soon as he went back to Norway, it was discontinued here in Newfoundland. It was stopped right away. I don't know why, but it seems to me, again, like the word oppression falls in place. They didn't want us to be getting ahead in anything. And there was another
Of
point.
course, we were our own government then.
Oh, but still, I mean, government is government, Linda. Government hasn't changed. I just finished reading a book on Machiavelli called The Prince. It was written 523 years ago. And the statement my mom made one time, the more things change, the more they stay the same, is so true with no fun into it, because the government hasn't changed. You've often heard the terminology that's really Machiavellian. Well, I mean, I suppose you have, but I mean, this is where the terminology comes from, because Machiavelli wrote about this and about the different ways the government treat the people, and nothing has changed in 523 years. And this is world around, but government, you know. And again, in 1919, William Coker, he brought up a list of regulations that he wanted put in place for the Newfoundland fishermen. And the regulations were, what he wanted to do, Linda, he wanted to set high standards of quality for curing and packaging of salt codfish to secure a better price in international markets. He wanted the regulations were designed to give the government authority over the shipment of fish, specifically to prevent undercutting by private merchants and to assure a stable price for fishermen. He sought to establish a government-guaranteed minimum price for fish, directly challenging the merchants' domain who previously set the rates. And this is the problem here. It always has been, Linda. The fishermen that are out doing the work, breaking their backs, getting into their nice warm beds at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to their fishing grounds, to their lobster pots, to their crab pots, to their halibut trawls. I mean, they get basically nothing. I mean, it's better now than it has been, but still they lose a lot in the long run. And it seems like there's oppression. But anyway, those rules by Coker, those regulations that he wanted, they were turned down in 1921. And you know, the strange thing about it, Linda, Iceland came over and adopted these rules, and this is what Iceland ran their fishery by up until recently. And they probably still use them. Now, my son, who spent time in Norway about 11 years ago, the Nielsen floating platforms are still in use over in Norway. They're still using the same ideas to produce fish and keep the industry going. And again, the strange. Have you heard of the book from Michael Harris, Lament for an Ocean?
Yes, indeed.
I've read it twice, Linda. It's an astounding, it's an eye-opening, shocking list of what happened here in the fishery from '92 onward. John Crosby, who was the federal minister of fisheries at the time, was told by DFO that fishing on the nose and tail in the Grand Banks during spawning season wasn't having any effect on the cod stocks.
Amazing.
I mean, that's amazing. You know, I mean, for anyone to look up, and I mean, John Crosby came from a fishing family here in Newfoundland. You know, if you said that, Andy, to a dead horse, you get the brains you had kicked out of you. And you know, I mean, this is the reason you don't fish lobster, salmon, trout, or anything once they start spawning, because it's too devastating on the stocks. And up until '95, in this Michael Harris book, if you remember, if you read it, up until '95, they were still going hell-bent for leather on the Grand Banks with the fishing. And I mean, I'm not pointing this out. The book pointed this out. The Spanish and the Portuguese, they were raping it out there. You couldn't do nothing with those two countries.
Yeah,
Tobin
and
tried, but
not only the cod, but the redfish as well. You well remember those images of Brian Tobin on the waterfront there with the tiny little redfish and the double nets.
Exactly. Listen, Tobin wanted to bring out the Navy against them, and the government, no, they were red. Oh, we can't do that. Look what Iceland did in '72.
Yeah. Iceland
drove Britain out of their shores. But we are being directly oppressed here in this province. We had a, 3-mile headland, what they call it, estimates one time here in Newfoundland, that nobody could take, that we had that to fish in regardless. That's gone since they started encroaching our 12-mile, 50-mile, 200-mile limit. And, you know, it's only window dressing, Glenn, because nothing has changed with the 200-mile limit. Nothing. I mean, we're still being oppressed here in this province. The mackerel fishery, I mean, there's more mackerel in the water than you can shake a bloody stick at. And we're still limited, even from the beach, what we can take. in a year. I mean, why is it Newfoundland? That's the question. Why, according to my Charter of Rights are on the wall, as a Canadian, I got the same rights as any other Canadian. But why is it once you cross the brook here and get into Nova Scotia, or New Brunswick, or PEI, or Quebec North Shore, that they've got better regulations and less stringent oppression onto them than Newfoundland does?
Good questions all, Earl. We have to leave it there because we're up to news time, but I appreciate your call this morning.
I mean, listen, I'm not a fisherman. I would like for the fishermen and other people in this province voice in on this. Listen, go to the water. They can't take everyone to court at one time, man.
I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much for listening.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We're up to news time now with Brian Medor. When we come back, we want to speak to you.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And we're back. Except that I don't have my headset on yet. Give me a second now, will you? Jumpin's trying to do a little bit of techie work in the background here.
I thought
Brian,
I was going to have to jump on and do the show today. Or the last hour here. Oh, my.
A message to Brian Medor. I got a couple of things on your computer there for you. I wasn't able to get that back up and running, but we're sending a note to engineering as we speak. We're going to go now to Mike. You're on the air. Hi, Mike.
Hey, good morning, Linda.
How are you?
No, not bad at all. Linda, first I'd like to say that you are doing a marvelous job. You're very approachable. You're very open-minded. Actually, VOCM will be wise to keep you in that seat because I've listened to some of your conversations and stuff, and you're doing. I just want to say you're doing an amazing job.
Well, I appreciate that very much, Mike. Thank you so much.
No. And then I'm going to read you something here now, and it's just one brief paragraph out of what every MHA in this province signs when they stand up to represent the public. And just let me see. Okay, and everybody said this is just one brief paragraph off of the code of conduct that all our MHAs sign when they take office. It's a fundamental objective of those holding public office that members serve their fellow citizens with integrity in order to improve the economic and social conditions of this province, of the province. And every one of them swear to that, and there's a bunch of other paragraphs there that, but the problem when we got with code of conducts and stuff, and when we get people in office, that's about as far away from the truth, because our economic and social conditions of this province are not improving. And what happens is when you have, and I'm sure everybody, you got a job with VOCM, you got to show up every morning. I had a job for 47 years. I had to show up every day, and if I wasn't productive, I was gone. But the problem is with the political system, I don't know where it's going to change because it's just a repeat, and there's no accountability. There's no accountability. And I heard John Hogan on there this morning, and already he's condemning the PECs. Not that I'm a lover of Tony Wakeham by no means. First thing he needed was a $278,000 advisor. We got 40 MHAs at $5 million a year, so maybe the 40 of them could figure it out without getting an advisor for $278,000. But to hear John Hogan on it this morning condemning the PCs, and what he should have been doing was apologizing to the people of this province, the state the Liberals left us in. He should have been apologizing for Andrew Fury and Andrew Parsons and the $34 million that were owed in Crown land leases. And that's what Mr. Hogan should have been apologizing for. And just for one of your reporters, there's $34 million in land leases that are owing. John Risley got $128 million, and some of the other companies got. So we don't even know what Andrew Fury's baby cost us, these wind energy projects. We don't even know. Did one of your reporters, probably investigative reporters, could look in and see that John Risley received the full 128? What did the other companies get? But there's got to be accountability. or there will never, ever be any change in this province. And that's my thoughts.
Mike, and you're raising some excellent points there. What are the actual numbers? And do you think there's any hope that we will? I mean, I put that to the minister. Do you think we're going to get any of that money back? He says they're certainly going to try, but do you think realistically we're going to see any of that money?
Well, in past history in Newfoundland, that doesn't have a big high success rate, so I doubt it very much. But there's a lot of responsibility, and I'm a Newfoundlander true and true. The salt water runs through my veins, but the people got to take some of this responsibility for accepting the repeats of PC Liberal failed projects. And I said it before, and I said it again. The streets should be paved in gold here. We're rich in resources, but we have poor financial managers. And like Andrew Fury, I'll go to it again. They walk away 35. So why wasn't there any bonding or security put in places that we end up with $34 million in land leases? I have a cabin down in Indian Bay. I pay $200 a year on to the Crown. I don't think I could get my bill up to $34 million, and I'd still have my cabin there. There's rules for some and no rules for others. But I love this province. I love the people. I love Labrador. And boy, I wish we could get some politicians, and I don't even want to call them politicians, a financial manager, someone with a business sense that could run this province. Because I'll tell you right now, we wouldn't be $19 billion in the hole, and we wouldn't have an $800 million deficit. Because there's got to be change. Even I'm 63, but for the young people that are in this province, like how much more? What is it? I read something in the news there the other day where each Newfoundlander, 500,000 people, we got $30,000 each in debt by politicians.
The day you're born, that's what you're burdened with. Yeah.
Yes, my darling, the day you're born. But there has to be, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that thinks the same way as I do. But and like Andrew Fury's got his job. He's on the board of Newfound Gold. Parsons has gone off as a lobbyist against government, and they left us with a $34 million debt, and there will be nothing done about it. Not a thing will be done about it. And so they're in for Tony Wakeham. Tony Wakeham, first thing he got in government, he needed an advisor for $278,000 a year for 28 hours a year. So he started off right off the get-go. Just gouging the system. So okay, let's just have Tony Wakeham in there then, and an advisor, and get rid of the other 39. They're $5 million a year. That's what our MHAs costs us, $5 million a year, and they need an advisor. My personal opinion is they need a babysitter. But
Mike, you're still young enough to run.
I wouldn't last in the House of Assembly. Not probably one day, and I would be arrested and handcuffed. And
they shut you down.
Brought to the lockup. Well, Linda, again, I'll let you go and thank you for your time. But you are, like I said, and I'll say it again, VOCMBBY to keep you in that chair. You're doing an amazing job.
Appreciate that, Mike. And by the way, thank you for your comments this morning.
Okay, thank you very much.
Alrighty. Bye-bye. Mike there telling it like he sees it. What are your opinion on that? We'll take a short break and we'll wait to hear from you.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And we're back on VOCM Open Line. So we have this new urgent care clinic in the east end of the capital city, and a lot of people would say that's a great idea. It takes, diverts people away from those long lineups at the health sciences and allows places like the health sciences and St. Clair's emergency and other emergency departments around the province to take care of, more serious issues. But getting in there is a whole other story. I'm hearing a lot of stories from people who are trying to get into the urgent care clinic in the capital city's East End and are being told they have to book an appointment. Some are booking appointments. The queue is filled up. They can't book an appointment. Some are walk-ins are being told that they've reached their capacity for the day. You have to go elsewhere. So it goes right back to the emergency rooms, one would think. And that's for people who require urgent or emergent care for a serious issue, whether it be a sprained ankle or a laceration or a serious sinus infection, for instance, and they just need it taken care of. Anyone who doesn't have a family doctor or can't get in to see their family doctor. So we have another urgent care clinic ready to go, no staff to fill it. And the power just went here, so I just want to make that a... we're going to check and see what's going on, if that's limited to us here at VOCM or if it's a little bit more widespread. It's just come back, but anytime we see a power bump like that, it usually means something's on the go. So we'll have a look at that now in a moment. We're going to go now to Sean. You're on the air. Hi, Sean.
Good morning, Linda. Lots of things to talk about, but they're very serious issues, Linda.
Absolutely.
The one you just talked about a minute ago, well, the one you just spoke about the power surge, we've had a few of those. We've lost power over the last little while. And if people aren't familiar, a lot of our power is coming from Base Spirit. And if it is, then, they have a lot colder weather in central Newfoundland than we do. And when the lines get all iced up, you don't know where the power is going to go down. But, and power is one thing, and we really got to get that fixed. And we're still running the Holyrood reform, the Holyrood facility. And that was 4 years ago because of all the emissions. And everyone knows, I don't know if anyone knows, but I think most people know, it's one of the worst emitters in all of Canada. But I'll go to my topic, which you so beautifully led in on there, talking about healthcare. And very unfortunate, a dear friend of mine, his father, was admitted to St. Clair's on the last weekend. He's 99 years old, strong as an ox, fabulous man. But unfortunately, he had a fall, and he's in there now dealing with that. And so I had the occasion to go down and visit him several times since then at St. Clair's. And the first thing I noted was the total confusion. It doesn't seem to be a state-of-the-art anymore facility at all. And even if we wait and get it refurbished, it can't be a state-of-the-art facility. It's going to take way too long to do that. And what are we going to do in the meantime when they have to shut that down while they refurbish it? So I spent time in the emergency ward. I spent time on 6 East where he was. And I spent time generally in the hospital. And the first thing I noted going there was all the elevators are down. Now, can you imagine if there was some emergency in there and everybody had to be evacuated? The first thing they had to do is take a lot of people down. The fire department would come in and turn the elevators back on just for those who need that kind of care to be moved to the main floor and out of the building. But the rest of us obviously would go down the stairs and go out in any areas that allow exits. But, my concern is that there are people, let's say there's a code red. You're trying to get the elevator down to another floor to deal with that individual who's had a code emergency called, and they need staff to get their stat, as they say. And you're not going to get down there fast enough because the elevators aren't working for apparently a week now. They don't know when they're going to be back up.
Oh, it's longer than that. It's longer than that, Sean. We've been getting calls in the newsroom for weeks now talking about the elevators and the problem there, and we've been putting in requests to NLHS to get some updates on that. I don't recall seeing an update as of yet.
Well, it's interesting you should say that. Often I've been in there and the elevators were kind of like shaking. You know how they shake once in a while? You say, it's just going to stop at me right here and now. And those were famous for that. And the service elevators are not that much better, but they have no other way to move people and equipment, like up and down from the 6th floor down to the basement. So when I was waiting there for the service elevators, because he was on the 6th floor, and I decided to take that up. And there were several staff around, so I just asked them, they're talking about refurbishing this. what do you people think as staff? And we had lots of time to wait. Like we were there 10 minutes waiting for one of the elevators. And several of these people have been around that hospital as employees for years. They said, don't go to the basement because that would shock you if you ever went down to the basement of this place. And going into the emergency area, it's an absolute maze, and it's a very dangerous area. There's a security guard there, but he's at the door, and anybody at all can come in there and create a major fuss. And the emergency area where people are being looked after is only a few feet away.
It's a tight space, I have to say, and if anybody happens to be in a wheelchair, for instance, or on a stretcher, I mean, how do they get through there? It's very tight.
Well, you can't, and that's why. And this is not a political thing. I'm calling about common sense. And my father used to say, one of the most uncommon things in the world is common sense. That building, and the attachments to the original building, which we've all been at over the years, has to be replaced. And I would call on the minister and the premier, Minister of Health, Government Services, the premier, and everybody else who's involved in this decision to try and refurbish that, to think about that our health system is going to be in further crisis, because when you've got to shut a place down.
Sean, you must be in an area where there's a poor cell phone coverage. We've lost you for the time being. But if you want to finish your thoughts, give us a call back. We're going to have to leave it there because we've completely lost you. You're gone. In the meantime, speaking about gone, the power's gone. We had a power bump here, and of course, we have a generator that keeps us going, so that obviously kicked in. But there's a widespread power outage. It looks like it's affecting the majority of the province right now.
I just got a call Paradise, Mount Pearl as well.
Yeah, no, it's St. John's, Whitburn, Burin Peninsula, Sunnyside, Gander, Glenwood, Grand Falls, Windsor, Corner Brook, and Stephenville, right to Port aux Basques. So it's the entire island. Usually when something like that happens, it's a power bump, like maybe on the Labrador Island Link, for instance, and then it takes a while to recalibrate and bring those all those areas back up. But it looks like it's pretty much the entire island right now.
That's kind of scary.
It is a little scary. So we'll keep you up to date on that, by the way. We're keeping a very close eye on it all, and we'll see if we can't get somebody from Newfoundland Power or Newfoundland Hydro on the show right before the end of this program to give us an update. You're on it. Thank you, Matt Barron. And I'll tell you what, to allow you to do that, I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we hope to get a little bit of an update on that.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And this power outage is affecting, looks like pretty much the entire island in pockets. We are getting calls from people who say they do have power, and many others besides who are saying they don't. And usually what happens is that's usually a load shedding event type of situation, usually with a trip maybe on the Labrador Island Link or some other reason that the power trips, and of course the system then says, okay, well, we'll shed some of this power load to help that get recalibrated and bring it back up. So you should, hopefully, that's not the official reason now, but this is just experience talking. You should start to see the power coming back if that's what, in fact, happened. So hopefully now everybody will be restored in short order. We're going to go now to Stella. You're on the air. Hi, Stella.
Good morning, Linda. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. But I'm a little bit perturbed about an issue concerning the Briar.
Okay.
Now, I mean, my husband and I paid almost $700 for my ticket, and I heard last night about how they're opening up what we call the patch, the convention center.
Yeah.
But in curling language, it's the patch. And they're opening it up to the public, which is fine and dandy, but my concern is that in the night time when the music and entertainment is on, and like I try to get over there after the game, and I've been talking to a lot of friends about this, and some of my friends, like are couples that are going $1,300, and we may get over there, we may not be able to get a seat, we may not even be able to get close to the entertainment and everything. because of those people that are let in from the public. And like I'm not biased. Like I think it's great that they can have the opportunity, but there should be some accommodations made for the people who spent money on tickets.
I hear what you're saying there. Yeah. So you paid, a pretty penny for your tickets to
$700.
enjoy the Briar. You're obviously a big curling fan.
Oh, I am. True blue, number one Brad Gushue fan.
There you go. And I mean, this is it now. This is it for him. And everybody's celebrating his very illustrious sporting career. And rightly so. So you feel that, the price of the ticket should have been able to get you into the patch.
Exactly, and enjoy the music and everything. Now, I mean, I'm not saying for them not to cut the public out, because some people, I really feel for them, they can't afford it, or for some reason they can't. But they should make some kind of accommodations to allow the ticket holders, like to get in there, like.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and I mean, and if it has to go to an extra in or anything, well, we'll be later still getting over there. And and all the seats and the place could be filled up with people from the public who would never pay the cent.
Yeah, Stella, you're raising a really good point. And have you raised it with the organizers or anything like that? Have you made any phone calls?
No, it's just I've been talking to a lot of my friends this morning, and we've been discussing it. I said, I'm going to open on.
Well, God love you, and thank you for doing so.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was going to say, Stella, I'd like to hear from others. I mean, curling is so huge here in Newfoundland and Labrador, right across Canada, really. But it's huge here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And, of course, when we're hosting the Briar, everybody wants to come and take part in it, because they always say we know how to put off a party, and don't we know how to put off a party?
But yes, I was into the retirement party getting the Montanas.
But you're afraid you're not going to be able to participate in the party.
Exactly, the party animal.
Yeah. Well, Stella, hopefully you get in, but that's an excellent question you're raising, and maybe if there's any organizer out there who wants to explain to us what the issue is there, we'd like to hear from them.
Yeah, and I'm at the tail end of a senior, so and I'm still ready to go.
Ready to go. Well, that's the main thing, isn't it? Stella, listen, you have yourself a blast this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Already.
And by the way, when I was waiting on the line, I got to agree 100% with that person, 200% with that person was talking about the healthcare system. It was a very interesting topic.
Well, you're going to hear more from him now, because we lost him, and he's back so he can finish his thoughts. So thank you, Stella.
Very good. You have a nice day. Nice weekend.
All right. You too. Yeah. All right. Bye-bye. We're okay. NL Hydro is we're waiting on some information from Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro. Newfoundland Power has indicated that this is an issue that has I guess started with NL Hydro. So as we previously indicated, possibly one of those load shedding events. Loss of supply, temporary loss of supply. It's affecting an awful lot of people right across the island anyway. So we'll keep you up to date on that situation. Sean, we lost you earlier. You were just concluding your thoughts.
Well, I don't know if I was concluding them or just getting going. But I'm not sure where you lost me. I was talking about the fact that if we are going to start renovations on that hospital, if we think we have troubles now with our healthcare system, can you imagine having to shut down or restrict use at St. Clair's and we don't have any backup? The only answer to this is to let St. Clair's continue until the new hospital is built up on Kenmount up there, which is going to service everywhere from Paradise all the way out to CBS and into Mount Pearl. I mean, you're talking 100,000 people in that area, from Mount Pearl all the way down to CBS and Paradise and all these places. So we can't afford to have a hospital down. I mean, I don't know where this government's getting their ideas to, but, you can't shut down a major hospital like that, which is filled to capacity now, and OR rooms and all the rest of it. When people can't wait for a lot of these surgeries, I just had a friend of mine the other day who let me know that he couldn't have his surgeries waiting on now for 2 years. He's a very elderly senior guy, and he's all upset because they went all the way into St. John's from up in Upper Gully somewhere, and they got to their appointment. And when they got there, of course, there was no room available, so then they had to cancel the surgery. You know, if you're going to have surgeries, you got to have rooms. So you have to restrict that room has to be saved for this man. And he's waiting, like I said, for over 2 years, and he desperately needs his surgery. So how are we going to do it? And I want this broadcasted across the province into all these offices up at Confederation Hill to remind them that to shut down one of the major hospitals in the province or have it restricted because they're renovating it, it's just ridiculous. And I just came through there, like I said. I mean, the place is just ridiculous. The staff are happy enough to look after the public, but they reminded me the other day how bad the building was. And I really think that it's time we replace that hospital, but not until the new one is built. So please, 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 on behalf of everyone listening and all the people that need all this health care, we have 60-odd% of our population are now seniors. We really need this other hospital as soon as possible. Please turn that decision back to where it was, and let's get this new hospital built.
We don't have any detail on the intent there, but they did indicate that that's what they plan to do, is to renovate the hospital. But to what end? How long do they expect that facility, realistically, how long do they expect to extend the life of that facility, which is already parts of it, 100 years old?
Yes, and Linda, I spoke to a friend of mine the other day who's also an engineer, and he said, the building processes we use today are so much different than what we had 100, even 60 years ago. And everything from energy, which today we need really good energy technology in these buildings and everything else that we need. And, to do all that in a building that's got to be renovated is probably going to cost as much or more than what the new hospital will be costing us. And it's just not worth it. I think we've got to let that one continue until the other one's built, and we really need to get on that right away. We don't have any time to waste.
And the fact that St. Clair's is humming at all times. I mean, I've never gone in there and it hasn't been, on wheels.
Well, that's my point. I mean, what are we going to do with all these people who are going to be turned away because a certain part of the building is not being used right now, and now you're going to line up for another year for the Health Science Center? I mean, it's just impractical. It's nonsensical. And please, Premier Wakeham, please get on this as soon as possible. And, he made a quick decision on the $275,000 for a healthcare advisor. I hope the healthcare advisor is telling them, get that new hospital built and stop this foolishness of trying to renovate an old hospital that has old technology in it and very old systems that you just can't upgrade that easily. You need the latest, and you need to build a building that can handle that.
Sean, thanks for your call.
My pleasure, Linda. Great to hear your voice on there this morning.
All right. Bye-bye. Sean, with his thoughts on plans for St. Clair's. What do you think? And, of course, we have received numerous calls from people who are saying, the elevators haven't been working there in some time, and we're trying to get an update on that. What is the latest on the power situation? Let's have a quick look. So yes, still widespread areas of the province without power as we speak. Looks like the source may be at NL Hydro. We're waiting for an update from them on that. And hang tight. Hopefully we'll get our power back real soon. What's up?
Mom says in Mount Pearl her power's back. So
there you go.
That's one update.
Yeah. So and we've got ours back. I don't know if ours is actually back or if we're on generator power right now. But the areas are coming back slowly but surely. What is it? And someone is pointing out eventually an update for us. There's a separate situation going on. Okay, so while some areas of the province are dealing with this power outage, there's a separate fire that situation, power outage that's affecting the Rabbittown area, Georgestown, part of Lamarchant Road, Queens Road, Buckmaster Circle. You get the idea. Barters Hill, that area of town, Center City area. That power outage has been caused by a structure fire in the area. So we're trying to get more information on that. It looks like it started around 11:20, around the same time that we saw the power go here. And the estimated restoration time for power in that area is not until 7:30 this evening. So there's an awful lot of people who will be out without their power for an extended period today because of a structure fire in that area, affecting about 2,000 or more customers. So we'll keep you up to date on that as well.
A lot of traffic lights I'm getting calls on as well are down. So, four-way stop, be cautious in all of those situations.
Absolutely. Take your time, be patient, be courteous at those four-way stops. Thanks for that, Matt, for that reminder. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we hope to hear from you.
This is Open Line on the VOCM Big Land FM radio network.
And we do have confirmation now that this power outage that is affecting a lot of people across the island is, in fact, due to a trip on the Labrador Island Link that has caused power interruptions. They call it a load shedding event. So the system will knock off certain customers just so that they can get the system recalibrated and the power back up. So if you haven't got your power back yet, you should be very shortly. A lot of people have already had their power restored. However, there is a pocket, there is a segment of the capital city area, the center city area, including, by the way, the Mary Brown Center. Yes. And that's related to a structure fire in the center city area. It's affecting Rabbittown, Georgestown, Harvey Road, Queens Road, Buckmaster Circle, Casey Street, Springdale, and the Mary Brown Center. So that's going to cause some difficulties, I would imagine, with the Briar.
I believe they're doing practice rounds right now, so I don't know if they have a generator or what's the situation down there.
Yeah, I would imagine a structure like that must have a generator, so hopefully it doesn't cause any major problems, but it is significant when you know a building like that, especially on such a crucial weekend, is potentially affected by that. So that's a structure fire that's causing that, and we're going to try and get more information on that fire and the power situation. By the way, they're aiming at power restoration for 7:30 for that center city area. The rest of the province, however, you should be getting it back shortly if you haven't already had your power restored. We're going to go now to Lindo. You're on the air. Hello. Lindo.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey.
Yay. Yay.
It's you.
I want to talk about the recreational cod fishery, darling.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go back on the history. First, Newfoundland was founded on the fisheries. The province of Newfoundland was founded on the fishery. If anyone has the right to catch a codfish for the table, it is a resident of Newfoundland. That's the beginning. Now, so we have a right to catch a codfish. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a retiree. I grew up in the outports, and we always went out and boat and caught a codfish for the table, regardless. And we didn't overfish. No, we didn't, and we didn't waste fish. We didn't throw fish away. It was used, and I think a lot of Newfoundlanders today do the same thing. Now, in the seasons, I think the seasons should be from June to September. Yeah, and that is when the commercial cod fishing opens up, which would be in August, you'll get nothing then. That's just about to throw away your jigger and put your boat up, because it's all small stuff, unless you want what we used to call leggies, the small fish. Now, and 7 days a week. And the reason for 7 days a week is for less congestion at the docks and on the water. I heard someone say this morning that they look at across, the bay was full. The bay is full of boats because you only had 3 days. And other than 3 days, you'd be lucky to get 1 day that you could get out. So everybody is scrambling to get out. So if it was 7 days a week, if it was open 7 days a week, you could pick your days. Like I'm a retiree, I would not go out on the weekend. I would give the people that's working the opportunity to go out. I wouldn't be had to the congestion in that part, because it is a lot of boats out at any one time. Like the wife and I, we go down, we fish down here. We get up 4 o'clock in the morning to get out and try to get back in before the crowd gets out. So we're early birds. Now, the number of fish, I think it should be 10 fish per person in the boat, up to a certain number of people in the boat. And that would result in less trips for people, because how much fish do I want? Like me, I would have fish for the winter. If I could get it in 3 or 4 days, I'm not going out no more. Yeah, so that would be resulting in less trips for people going out, and I don't worry about the gas, because just everybody say to save gas, you're going to burn gas anyway. Because if it's a good day, you're going to when you got your fish, you'll go out with a turnip bottle full of tea and a sandwich and enjoy the bay, and you won't be fishing. Now, it's another issue is enforcement. I heard on enforcement. My history of work is I work as wildlife and forestry, and on the later years I worked with federal fisheries as a guardian in inland fisheries. So I got some idea on enforcement. To me, there should be dockside. Forget it on the bay. Boats are checking on the bay, because that's not effective. But it should be on dockside. And are some of the students? You got university students coming out looking for a job. Hire the students and give them a week course, crash course on what to look for, and hire them on for the summer and give them a job. And because there's a lot of university students and from grade 12 on grade 12s are looking for work. Hire them on two in the area, not to work alone, but 2 in the area. I'm used to working alone for years, but 2 in an area, and they have certain things they have to look for, and that would be educated. They would be educated by the fisheries officer what to look for, where to look, and what. Now poaching. You always have poaching, because you had poaching in moose, you had poaching in everything. Always will have that, and that could be knocked down, because the presence is a great tool in prevention. So in a fishery officer got an area, he should know where those people would land. That's not coming out dock, should know, and monitor that on periodic times. So a presence is a ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So I always found presence was a big thing in enforcement, not the number of people you caught, but by the presence, and that was an enforcement tool. And
absolutely. The same with traffic, speeding and the like. What keeps speeds down? A police officer just going back and forth.
Right on, the presence. More so than actual catching, the presence there. Yep. That's the factor there. So I always said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So that one. Now, I don't know if anything else you want me to discuss with you or talk to you, if there's anything you can bring up. But basically, I covered the issues that I wanted to cover there.
Well, Linda, I'm glad you did, and we appreciate your perspective on that. Thank you very much for it. We're going to try and take another caller before the end of the show and keep people updated on the power situation.
In conclusion, I would think it's time for Joanne Thompson, our Representative Olives, to take her head out of the sand and do what is right for the people of Newfoundland. Do what is right. Get her head around it, think on it, and take criticism and take a concrete voice on that one.
All right. Lyndall, thank you.
And thanks for your time.
All right.
Yeah, bye now.
Bye-bye. Lyndall, with some well thought out perspectives on all of that. Well, as we were talking about this situation in the Center City area involving a structure fire that's up on the Newfoundland Power website, by the way, I was immediately texted by a firefighter friend of mine who said, I don't think that's on the go. They are of the impression that there was some situations last night and they may be resolved. So it looks like there may, and I do see there's some time differentiations there. It's kind of not really clear. So that may not be the case. So we're just trying to investigate that now and get more information on it if at all possible. So thanks to Chad. We're going to go now to Annette. You're on the air. Hi, Annette.
Hi, I'll only keep you a minute.
Okay.
I want to say I'm calling from Mount Pearl, and I'm calling on the mayor and everybody down in City Hall. Get the snow blowers out. The main streets in here are done really, really well. But what's the sense of having them done if you can't get off your street? The cul-de-sacs are piled up, and the banks of snow by people's driveways. You got to creep out to be able to see if there's anything coming. So, from all of the citizens in here, get the snow blowers on the go as quickly as they can to the streets that are off the main street.
You're surprising me, Annette, and I'm looking at a resident of Mount Pearl as we speak. Mount Pearl is usually praised for its snow clearing.
I'm praising them. I'm not criticizing. Yeah. I'm just saying there's more to be done. Okay, I'm not criticizing. I wouldn't do that. I live in here 48 years, and I have no criticisms. But I'm urging people, after being on the street, talking to people, the snow blowers are all giving out, the ordinary ones, because the snow is so heavy and so wet, okay? And people with shovels, they're older people. An awful lot of older people are in here. So, Mr. Aker and all your workers, keep getting an A+ by bringing out the snow blowers.
There you go.
Okay.
Maintain your good reputation.
Yes, exactly. And they do have a good reputation. And there's no criticism, but to get to your main streets, like to get to Commonwealth Avenue or any of these streets, getting off places like Whitney Drive and these places is just unreal. So anyway, have a good weekend. Thank you very much.
Annette, thank you. And Matt, what's the situation in Mount Pearl from your perspective?
I live on a main road, so the plow goes by like 4 times a day when it's like really snowing. But I will say the side streets, yes, it's brutal. And what I do is I call it T-bone roulette. You're pulling out of a street and you're creeping out, trying to make sure nothing else is coming, and then jamming on the brakes if something comes. It's the height of the snow, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think just some of those, I'm going to call them mini mountains, just need to be taken down a couple of feet.
Those corners and that, and bring it back to the sidewalks and that, yeah.
And some of the actual side streets, just not. There's huge, like my mom lives off a cul-de-sac, and there's a huge mountain of snow in the cul-de-sac there that hasn't been touched yet. So it's really hard to navigate.
It takes a while, right? And when they brought out these contractors, they said it's going to be till Monday. I don't know what the circumstances in Mount Pearl, but there you go.
Good. It's always good, usually. I gotta
usually
say.
very, very, very good. Thanks, everyone, for your contributions to the show this week. Appreciate it. Tim Powers will be in next week with you for VOCM Open Line. So get on the phones and get on them often. Thanks for your time, and we'll be back at Monday.